divorce, you don't just feel heartbroken. You feel anxious, you feel exhausted, hyper alert, numb, and reactive sometimes. And here's what nobody tells you, that you cannot rebuild your life from a dysregulated nervous system. Isn't that right? I mean, you can journal, you can read books. Oh my God, I think I watched so many YouTube videos about like detaching, and you can say affirmations like I'm good enough. But if your body still thinks that you're in danger, you'll stay in survival mode. So that's so important. And today we are talking about rewiring after divorce and why healing has to happen in the body and not just only in the mind. So welcome to another episode of From Breakup to Badass. I'm Janita Puy, speaker, wellness coach, and your guide through rebuilding after heartbreak. And today's episode, you know what, is going to be a powerful one. I have my very good friend here, and we're going to talk about the nervous system. So I am joined by Jules. She's a wellness educator, CEO of Jules Collective, and trauma-informed coach, Pilates instructor, retreat leader. I actually went to one of her retreats, amazing. And she's host of the Heal and Whole podcast. And today we're looking into the theme of rebuilding by regulating yourself. So I'm going to ask you the first question. Why does healing after divorce have to happen in the body and not just the mind? And welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and share a little bit about my own healing journey and really some practical tips for our listeners to take with you. And at the end of this podcast, really having some practical tools to help you regulate and just get out of this stress and like high cortisol to really feeling at home in your body and more confident and clarity, because we all need more of that.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's dive in, right? So why does healing have to happen in the body and not just the mind? Like why, saying affirmations like I'm good enough, I'm whole, that just doesn't work.
Yeah. So the vagus nerve is a very powerful, like super highway, part of our nervous system. And 80% of those signals are coming from the body to the mind. So when we are living in a state of high stress and fight or flight, that is disrupted and those signals aren't clear. And I know probably a lot of our listeners have read the book or heard about The Body Keeps Score. So we all have experienced different traumas in our life. So it could have, especially early on in our lives, that those memories are actually in the tissues and cells of our body, that is the science behind it. It's stored in the body. Wow. So these signals, then we need to then experience healing and the rebuild through the body as well. So if we are living in a state where we're maybe instead of dealing with the stress and emotions, the grief that comes with divorce or a breakup, if we are instead just diving into our work and in this high achievement mode, or just keeping so busy that we suppress those emotions, they're contained in our body, and that's going to manifest in different ways. It could be chronic illness. It could be a lower immune system and you're getting sick a lot. I know when I was really stressed out and like I had asked for a divorce and then we were trying to make it work and like living separate in the same house and all these things, I was sick all the time. And my body was, I was storing that stress, and my immune system was so low. I wasn't sleeping well. And that's why I do the work that I do with trauma-informed coaching and just sharing my own experience, because that's not a way to live or thrive. And I want to help more women and more leaders to come awake to themselves, to their best life and thrive. So that means that we've got to connect back to our body so that signal system is strong, and so we can live a more vibrant life that's aligned. Because when we're out of alignment, when we're saying affirmations of, I am good enough, I'm
Yeah.
worthy, but if we're not like believing
Right.
it, and the relationships that we're in, we're feeling small and unworthy, that misalignment is going to disrupt things and cause that stress. And so we've got to get out of our mind and more into our body in order to heal. And yeah, I'm so passionate about it, as
Of
you can
course
see.
we are. I was in a meeting yesterday, in a networking event for Emory. So I'm talking about what I do, and I'm like blah 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 blah, and they're like, "Okay, you're passionate about it, just like you."
Yes.
So you talk about several things. You talk about stress, right? And when we're in in a stress situation, of course, our body goes to flight or fight, right? And that's when cortisol goes up, our sympathetic system turns on, and then when we're in stress, it's like we cannot do anything else. Like we can why? Because it's like what sometimes I tell people in my conferences is like being in a jungle, and you have a tiger in front of you. And so what do you do? Like, do you hide? Do you run? Do you try to fight it? So if you're like that all the time, imagine like having the tiger, maybe, what you went through when you were divorcing, like living with your husband in the same house, like having to relieve that every single day. So you're in stress every single day, and your body, just like you said, goes into like maybe low immune system. You cannot concentrate, you cannot digest, you cannot sleep that well, because that's when the parasympathetic system, nervous system, turns on when you're relaxed, when you meditate, when you exercise, right? So I really think it's important that the audience understand that being in a situation like that, it's not good, because you don't want your body to be constantly in stress. Something else that you talked about, Jules, it was about emotions. And when I read Mel Robbins' book, the Let Them Theory. I love that book. We can put it
Show notes. Yeah.
the description of the episode. But she talks about emotions, and emotions are a burst of chemicals that ignite and absorb in your body in 6 seconds, and that's why the 90-second rules is perfect, right? Because you need to feel the emotion and feel it in your body and just let it go, because but you need to feel it. And I think that's something that many of our listeners, we tend to be the strong one. No, I can do this. Like so many people, 50% of the people get divorced and they're okay. But you have to realize that it's a very stressful time. And you need to leave and you need to go through it. You wanted to add something, right?
Yeah, and there are stages of grief with divorce, with different life changes. Maybe it's an abrupt career change. And for me, last year, within a 3-month time period, I had a huge career change. The nonprofit that I had helped start up and was CEO of, like, had been with for 10 years. It was my first baby. With everything going on with the divorce and needed to be there for my kids, like decided to step back and shift. And I moved. And so moving was huge. Learning to be a single mom for the first time, and going through a divorce all within 3-month time frame. Like, that's a lot of big life changes. But you can do it. I can do, and like you have community. And yeah, I think that as we go through these different changes, we can't just suppress. Like, you have to lean in. And one of the things that I found to be so powerful, and when I'm working with my clients, like doing a body scan, and even with Pilates and somatic fitness as part of it, just recognizing in your body, what am I feeling, and naming it. And so being able to strengthen that mind body connection and recognize, okay, I'm feeling I'm feeling something in my stomach, like stirring. Is this anxiety? Is it butterflies? Am I excited? So being able to recognize what that emotion is, going back to like naming the emotion, because we have to, that's part of strengthening the mind body connection. And that's interoception. So that's being able to recognize what you're feeling in your body. And the more we practice that, the more we lean in and we're brave and take a few minutes to do a body scan and just recognize where we're at, where we're holding those emotions, then it's going to really help with that healing and grieving process as well.
Yeah, I love that. According to research, and we talked about it before, but it's among the top five most stressful situations that can happen to you. So it is important to deal with it, right? And to live around it. And you said that you changed, like you were like in the middle of changing jobs, you were divorcing, you were moving. I mean, that's very stressful. It's like when it rains it pours.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the same thing happened to me. So I was living in Colombia. Then one day, my ex-husband said, like, I don't love you anymore. I'm like, okay. I texted my friends, I'm going back to Atlanta. So in 3 months, I was back in Atlanta. So I left home, my dogs, one dog died, my job there, like everything changed like 180 degrees. So we need to embrace that moment, right? Because
Yeah.
and I say, it's funny because I say, sometimes I said, like in Spanish it would be like the divorce was like my master, but I think it was my PhD, like my PhD of learning and of growing. I love it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't change a thing about it. And I think you feel the same, because
Yeah.
that's you change your career because of that, right?
And also like I coming home to yourself, and like I'd heard that before, but it didn't really click in because I was so consumed with work and what I was achieving and doing. We are not, like we are human beings, and being able to embody love and tap into like, who is Jules? Who am I now? Like outside of, I was like 21 when I met my ex. We met and got married in less than 9 months. And like I was only with that person for 14 years. And it's like, who am I? What do I like? What kind of music? Like, and that self-discovery journey and having that freedom. And I think the reframe that like, okay, not seeing it as like this happened to me, but like what's happening through me, and seeing and knowing like through my own healing journey that that is going to help bring healing to others, and either maybe spark that like confidence of like, okay, I can't keep living like this, and making brave choices. And I think that when we step out and take risks, whether that's in our career, personal life, creating boundaries and that are healthy, and listening to our body, because I think part of that is like, you kind of know, like, if something or a person or a situation is not healthy, if you're not feeling safe emotionally, like your body tells you, or when you're around certain people, you kind of get that like, ooh, ick, or, like something's off. Your body is picking up those signals and trying to tell you something. And a lot of times it's trying to protect you. And so often, it's easier to scroll, it's easier to Netflix, like just we're in this state of stress. So it can be really uncomfortable and challenging to be still. And I want to invite you right now, like, let's do a little breath work together.
I
And
love it.
yes, so we're going to inhale through our nose for 4 and out through your mouth. Nice and long for 6. So we'll do that one more time. Inhale, exhale. So just taking that moment to reconnect with our breath. We can also do 2 quick breaths through our nose and then an audible exhale. And that's going to do the same thing and send the signal to our brain that we're safe and get us back in that relaxed state. So let's go ahead and inhale twice through our nose quickly. And one more time. I mean, I can tell a difference with how I'm feeling. And one of the things that helped me as I was going through this transition time, imagine with me Jules on an e-scooter scooting around Atlanta. And I was so stressed and like, you know, going back and forth with like trying to figure out our co-parenting like situation and have some different things to avoid mediation and just like the actual divorce process. Like, okay, you've been served, but like now we gotta keep going through this. And I'm on my scooter, and this is like a few days a week, and my body just needed to release that anger and scream. And so I would be on my little scooter in the streets of Atlanta.
You were like the crazy lady, right?
And I would just scream, and it had to get out.
Oh, wow.
And so like that was one thing that like I felt in my body, and like if I kept that in, like it was gonna disrupt and come out in different ways. And for me in my relationship, I felt like I didn't have a voice and I really shrank a lot. And so a lot of the healing work that I've done is like recognizing and even feeling and like as I connect with my body, there's been different times where it's like, oh, it feels like I'm being choked, or it feels like I have slime or something like on my neck, you know, like something constricting me, and understanding and like, okay, what is my body trying to tell me with that? And part of it is like reclaiming, rebuilding my voice.
Yeah.
So scientifically and with our nervous system and how our body works, like that humming and the low humming, singing is part of that. Healing. So like I have dance parties in my kitchen and I'm singing in the shower and just singing as I'm biking now through Atlanta.
Right.
And
well, it's better sing than scream because then everybody's like, what's going on with this lady?
I know.
You know,
but that's a regulation tip and tool.
I think it works. Like, so you mentioned that, you know, you were in your scooter and you were screaming because you had all this anger. For me, I was really sad. I wasn't angry. Like, I think, you know, I wanted to play it cool, like really cool. But then I started dreaming. And I was hitting my ex-husband. So all the anger, I did it on my dress, which it was perfect. I stayed cool. Yeah. Well, I looked like La Llorona. La Llorona is like I think it's a superstitious thing.
Okay.
But like Llorona is like the crying woman. So I look like that. But yeah, that happened to me. And funny thing, I had a very big karaoke stereo with the microphones and everything. So as soon as my husband left, I turned it on, and every day was like, how do you say like the type of music? Like it's like you want to cut your veins.
Like emo?
Like no, like very romantic and sad music, right?
Okay, yeah.
But I don't know any in English. But anyway, I do want to talk about something. I had like the best experience in one of your retreats. She did a mini retreat that I went to, and I love it because we did so many things like somatic dance and movement and a stretch. We did cold plunge, which I mean, it was like nothing for me. I was really proud of the 3.5 minutes.
You just went for it. I was so impressed.
I was so impressed with myself. I was like, I can be here like 10 minutes, but I had a line of people like following me, right? But so how do retreat experiences, just like the one that I did with the somatic dance, the journaling as well, which was beautiful, accelerates healing in ways that maybe journaling or therapy sometimes can't? I'm not saying like I don't believe in that, because I do believe in that, but
Yes. I'm a huge journaler. I always have one with me, and it does help like clear your thoughts,
mhm,
clear your mind, and have reminders of how far you've come. And
mhm,
I think that that's really important to reflect back on, and also for gratitude. And but that is like a top down kind of approach, but like bottom up and like getting at the root. Like when you're in a different place where you are in a different environment, your body is able to relax, you're in community and supported. Your body, like those signals to your body that like you're safe. And this happens on vacation. Like for me, I went on sabbatical. I was in Hawaii. It was the first time like traveling alone without my family. And basically, and the last day I was in Hawaii that night, I felt so strongly just that I needed to recognize truth in my body. Like I needed to recognize truth, um, and trust God and let go. And with those things, like I ended up getting a tattoo, my first tattoo, my final night in Hawaii, and came back
what is a
knowing
tattoo?
this is a kaleidoscope. So
Okay.
it's like reframing brokenness for beauty. And it's also showing the highs and lows that presence and peace is with
Mhm.
us through the mountaintops and the valleys. And this is the super moon. So I am to glow, and we all
Ah,
are supposed to glow and radiate.
okay.
And I knew in my marriage that like I wasn't able to do that. So for me, it's like my story and a reminder of that. And so that happened being in a different situation and place. And a lot of times, a retreat, a vacation, like you come back from that feeling recharged, reconnected to yourself. And then you might decide on a big life change to change your career, change your relationship, because you're able to have that safety and clarity. And it is more of that embodied experience. It's experiential as you're like, during the retreat, we used all of our senses. We were eating nourishing food and using aromatherapy and moving. So that's our body processing. And I love that so many times, like new inventions, new creations come when you're at a retreat. Or a vacation. So like I think for Lin Manuel, like with Hamilton, like that idea came to him on vacation, like being able to get away and relax. And so with Jules Collective, I really focus on those wellness retreats and experiences here in Atlanta and in Puerto Rico, and working with the hospitality industry for wellness like tourism, so people can have those experiences wherever they are, to reconnect with themselves and better understand how to regulate and just leave feeling replenished. So, yeah.
I absolutely love it. I'm a lover of all of that. Like if somebody says exercise, meditate, whatever,
Yes, you're
like I'm
down
like
for it.
I'm
Like,
right there,
yes.
especially karaoke.
I want to hear what's your go-to karaoke song?
Well, that's, people keep asking me that, and I'm like, I sing in Spanish. I can sing in English, but I'm better in Spanish. But Selena, I love Selena. Like,
Yeah.
como una flor, con tanto amor. Like that one.
Yes. I love it.
I'm
I
not the
love
best, but
it.
I do like it, and I think just like you said, like you get in touch with yourself when you do that kind of retreats, and there's so many studies like when women are around women, we our body produces oxytocin. That's why we feel so good every time we are like in girls night.
Girl time.
I do a girls night in all the time. I do girls night
I
in
love
instead
that.
of girls night out. But every time I'm with my friends, my girlfriends, I'm like, oh my god, amazed. And one of my friends, she's coming back today from France, and she's like, can you come and we'll have champagne? And I'm like, I'm writing a book, so I'm like, no. And then I'm like, I'm not gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna write the book, and I'm gonna see her because every time I see her, it's like, oh my God, like life is so great. So
Yeah.
it's amazing to do this kind of work, and it helps you heal as well, right?
Definitely. And the retreats are also for guys and all gender identities, and but I do think it's so special when you have a group of women together that there's a bond, whether you're a mom, whether you're single, different stages of life,
Yeah.
that like I've been a like lifelong like mentor, mentee, and yeah, being able to fill your cup through like encouragement from other people, hearing their stories. Like we're all carrying different things. Like we're still processing grief, like collective global grief from the pandemic, from wars and everything going on in the world right now. Like collectively, that's very heavy. That's its own trauma that is like we're carrying. And just as we're all experiencing that, we can also, as we're together at retreats and gathering, having good food together, like that kind of thing, that we're able to co-regulate, because that is our bodies, like those signals being picked up, those different chemicals that are being emitted, like we're we're always processing that without thinking of it, and saying like, oh, I need to do XYZ. Like that's why the more we can regulate and the more we can be in tune with our body, it's going to strengthen that and help you get in that lower cortisol state and more relaxed and in tune. So,
I love it. I
yeah.
love it. I can't wait for the next one. So
Yes.
we talked about, being stressed, being in survival mode. So what does it mean to move from survival mode to thriving after divorce?
Yeah. I I feel like that's so layered and it looks different for everyone. I think that you know, there's ups and downs, and like there's been so many different times where I feel like, yeah, I feel so much better and like I got this. And then I could get a text message from my ex, and we're co-parenting, so like he's gonna continue to be in my life, like
And you have
through
small
my
kids.
life.
Yeah.
And
The girls are,
yeah,
yeah.
the girls. So my youngest is 5, and so it's like, okay, I got 14 years, and like I could look at it like, oh my gosh, 14 years, and like I'm trapped. But it's that reframing, and also seeing like, okay, different tools, different ways, like, okay, I have the agency, like what do I have control over? And being able to make choices where I'm feeling my best self, and like, okay, like what makes me feel most delicious right now or today? And what are the little things where I can just show my self love and others and like live out of that place? So, yeah. I don't know. Does that answer your
Yeah,
question?
yeah,
Like
no,
I would say it's different for everybody,
it
and
is
to
different.
know and to give yourself grace that like you might feel like, oh, I should be at this different place. Like if I shouldn't like feel upset. I thought I was past this, but when I heard from him, or when I heard this song and it brought up a memory of us together, I felt really sad, and that's okay.
Yeah,
Like
it
it's
is.
you're grieving the relationship, you're grieving what you had and who you are, and you're also grieving the future that you imagined for your family. So we're all continuing to grow, and to be able to sit in the silence and in the grief and cry, scream, sing, like that's part of the process. And if we just stuff down and use other coping mechanisms of like diving into work and ignoring it, or numbing, that fight flight kind of thing, um, you know, that's going to stunt the growth versus being brave, tuning in, going to therapy, putting in the work, finding things that really help you. Like for me, Thai body work was and continues to be really helpful for me. And I started getting the certification for that and understanding like these energy lines in our bodies, how that's released, and yoga and movement, like working out, finding what makes you thrive. And that might be different for different people, but really encourage you to like get outside, that bilateral movement, walking, and leaning in instead of stuffing down. And that those are steps towards thriving instead of like, this is scary and hard and just closing in.
Several things about the things that you said, and I want to bring that up because I think it's important. Everybody's different, right? So do not compare to somebody else. If I compare to one of my best friends, I mean, he dates and then it doesn't work, and after a month, he's dating again. For me, it's different. So you cannot compare. Is it right or wrong? It doesn't matter. Like for me, I needed the healing. So do not compare to what other people are, experiencing
Yeah.
and doing. One other thing that you said is about reframing. And I think this is beautiful. It, like everything, it takes practice. Every time, like somebody says, oh no, I cannot do it, like whatever, you can do it. Yeah, we can
Yes.
change. And I always say this is like going to the gym. I don't know if you can see my muscles here.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
but it's not, this is not, it's not like I went one day to the gym. It's like I keep
Right.
going over and over every single day. So it's reframing. It's it's simple steps. For example, I remember, just because I have gone through so many things in my life, that when I got divorced, I'm like, I know this is for the best. Girl, I was still sad. I was depressed, not depressed, but I was sad, angry, whatever. But I knew it was going to be for the best, because as I see in my past, everything has been for the better, right? And when you reframe, it's not, oh no, I'm okay. No, it's like, I'm sad, but what's good about this? For example, what's good about like me, leaving Colombia after 12 years because I got divorced? Like if I started thinking about my dogs, my Harley Davidson motorcycle, my house with the pool,
Oh.
cry. I know, I miss it. I miss it. But I thought about, okay, I'm gonna be with my family again. When I came here, my condo, I had it rented out for a long time, and
Okay.
the girl left like 3 months before I was coming. Like it was perfect timing, right?
Nice.
And then a pipe burst. So instead of me saying, oh my God, like, why did it happen to me? I said, like, this is so good. I used the money from the insurance. I put some more money, but I remodeled the whole thing. So the whole
Nice.
condo is a different condo, and not the same condo when I was divorced and partying until like 3 o'clock in the morning. So
Yeah.
it's about, that you can change, like trying to figure it out. And the last thing I want to say is that I I don't stress, because if I cannot control something, I just put it on a side, right?
Yeah.
So just be mindful of the things that you can control. If you can't, why worried about that? So what were the things that for me I could control? Waking up every day at 7 o'clock, taking the dogs out, exercise, well, meditate, exercise. Actually, first wake up, meditate, take the dogs out, exercise. I knew I was doing that. Was I numbing myself? Yeah, I had more alcohol than I should have, but I knew it was temporary. So I didn't put a lot of stress on myself, because I was dealing with a situation that it was not just a divorce. It was like moving
Yeah.
to a country, to the country, leaving my dogs, leaving my house, selling everything. I'm like, I think I
Yeah.
did pretty good.
Yeah. Your rebuild, like, yes. With a new foundation too.
With a new
Yeah.
foundation. Yeah.
And it seems like really knowing who you are, your strength, like that resiliency that you've been through this, that whatever happens, like, you're going to be okay. And yeah, that's powerful. And I think those rituals, the practice, like you said, getting those reps in, that this isn't an overnight switch. Like, you have, like, it's part of that training and reps for regulation for your body. And I think, and some of it is like that mindset too. If you are approaching things with, like, I used to think, oh, I can't get 8 hours of sleep. Like, I'm a single mom. There's so much to do. I'm running my company, like all these things. There's no way I can get that much sleep. And like a friend message, or like, he was like, yeah, I've got 8 hours of sleep or whatever. And I was like, man, I wish I could. And he's like, you can. I'm like, you know what? I can. I can restructure my day. I can make little changes, and I can prioritize my sleep because I know that I need it, and I'll be a better mom and a better leader with that. So I started those like little rituals before bed, like putting the phone away in a different room, not scrolling or responding past certain hours, listening to like the ocean and like, having tea before bed, like signaling to my body, like, hey, it's time to relax. And, for me, those are things that really helped. But if I kept that mindset of like, I can't get 8 hours of sleep, like, I'm going to stay in a certain mode and my behaviors are going to reflect not being able to do that versus shifting that.
I love that
So,
you mentioned that because it's what we were talking about before. But the way that you think determines how you feel, and the way that you feel determines the actions that you take. So everything start with the thought. So
yeah.
if I say I cannot get 8 hours of sleep, girl, you're not gonna be able to do the 8 hours. But if you say like, yeah, yes, I can. Yes, you can. So that's
Yeah.
why it's important. And during this time, like maybe you say, I'm never going to get over him or them or
hmm
whoever, or um, I'm not good at this. I'm going to be stuck with
Yeah.
my ex-husband forever, which I really like that I don't have to.
I can tell your face. You're like,
Kudos for
yeah, me
me.
too. It's a whole new world. But that's the think, feel, act. That's a health behavior theory, and I have my master's in public health. And so the work that I do as a health educator and with being fractional like wellness officer and doing these retreats, like, it's building off of the neuroscience and off health behavior theory. So think, feel, act. So if you think, I'm not a good cook, and for me, I'm not a great cook, and like my ex did most of the cooking, and so I've
That's why
had
he got divorced. Because of your cooking.
oh no. No, he knew. He was like, stay out of the kitchen. So I had to reclaim the kitchen and be like, you know what? I can do this. It might be a little messy. It might not turn out great. And like, I definitely have some recipe fails. But I've learned, instead of thinking like, I'm not a good cook, I can't do this, it's such a chore for me to cook for my girls, I had to retrain that thought. And so I started with the thought of, cooking is a way for me to build some incredible memories with my girls. I want them to look back and, have a certain recipe that they know, like, hey, this reminds me of mom, and I want to cook this for my kids. And, like, going back to those like multisensory, these smells and the taste. And that's a way for me to bond with the girls and have set time together. And so when I made that shift with my thinking for like, I can cook, and this can be fun and not a chore and pain, like, this is a way to nourish myself and my family and build these memories. Like, I totally reclaimed the kitchen. And it's still a journey, just like my healing journey. But now that behavior, that task is not daunting. It's like, okay, let's plan this out. Let's get this, like, try a Persian cookbook. Like, let's learn about a different culture and cook together. And like, we just had like Chinese New Year and we were stuffing dumplings, and like, it's like, let's have fun with it and think, feel, act. So yeah, that's how
That's
an
beautiful.
example of how it can play out.
Okay, so we talk about like several things that you can do, but can you like tell us what are simple steps that someone can use immediately or after divorce when they feel anxious or overwhelmed.
Yeah, so the breath work, so the breathing exercise, box breath, that's one way. So breathing uh, through movement, working out, that bilateral movement back and forth with walking and somatic movement. So that like soma is like your body, you're tuning into your body and how it feels. So with Pilates, for example, a lot of that is like precision. When I'm doing Pilates, it's more like, okay, I'm feeling, I'm sensing like each vertebrae on the mat. Where is there more tension? Is my jaw clenched? Like, where do I, why is this tension here? And how can I breathe into it and release? So, those are a few tips. Also, like touch and like having a weighted blanket. Um, like even your own self-touch of like hug, tapping, um, that also signals to your brain that safety and releases the chemicals of like anti-stress and like we're okay. Hugging, like a longer embrace with someone else. Those are a few different regulation tips. Water regulates as well. So staying hydrated and having like a little water feature in your house or being near water, like a walk near the beach, or like here in Atlanta, there's different fountains and Sweetwater Park isn't too far away. Like where can you be out in nature and water too?
That's good. I think for me, nature keeps me grounded. And every time I go, it's like I'm in awe, you know, and I practice being in awe all the time. Like
Yeah.
for some time in my life, I was traveling so much, like first class, best hotels, like big cities, that I felt like, well, what's gonna impress me anymore? Like if I have all this, now it's like I can listen to the birds. I mean,
Yeah.
I can listen. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I woke up.
The little
I'm alive.
things.
The little things. So every time there is what's the Japanese concept? I don't know how it's called, but it's
Mm-hmm.
bathing,
Forest bathing?
forest bathing.
Yeah.
What's the name in Japanese? Do you
I
remember?
don't remember,
Okay,
but I
that
have done that as a
yes,
practice with Flourish on Friday mornings in
yeah.
Atlanta. We do like a meditative morning, and so we've done that at Grant Park and some
That
different areas.
I think
So
that's
just
beautiful. You
yeah,
know, it connects with. I mean, we're part of one thing that I think we're all connected in some way. So when you connect to nature, you feel more calm. Your body produces oxytocin as well. So
mm-hmm.
it's just that's something that I did. For me, exercise has been a game
Yeah,
changer. Gratitude. Oh my God, like I'm
mm-hmm.
grateful for everything.
Yes,
Everything. Today we did a gratitude check in the meeting that I had, and she said, "Let's focus on the hands." And she started saying, "Look at your hands. Look at all the wrinkles." Of course, somebody said like, "I don't want to look at my hands," right? Maybe an old person, but then she was like, "Think about all the things that your hands did for you, like." Writing all those emails, like cooking. So I thought that was so beautiful. And sometimes we don't take the time to do that kind of things. For me, gratitude also helped me through it. And it helps me to be a positive person, a content person, you know? Um, yeah, I don't
yeah.
know. Okay, so when someone says something like, I don't even know who I am anymore after the divorce, what's happening there? Why do we feel that way?
Well, part of that is like your identity might have been like wrapped up in you as a couple and like that unit that like that was who you are as this person's wife or partner and or like that being your main identity and these patterns and loops. So being able to yeah, when that's severed, whether it's our choice or that um it's like you have to come back to yourself and realize like okay who am I just as me and not as this unit anymore. And so, yeah, I think part of that is the self-discovery kind of stage and looking inward and kind of diving deeper with that. And yeah, it's part of that rebuild process.
Yeah, it's very interesting because what we were saying before, you lose yourself in the relationship, and I think we do this because we're women and we nurture, right? So it feels like all the energy goes to our kids, our husband, the house, having everything properly, like clean everything. So we lose ourselves in the relationship, and that and there is like an identity shift, right? So like when this happens, like, okay, who am I anymore? Like, I'm not a wife. I mean, your case, you're always going to be a mom, but then your kids, they're never going to be in a house and with the parents, and that's tough. It is tough.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it is important that if we're going through this and the rebuilding stage, is that we never forget that the most important person in our life is ourselves, not your kids, not your job, not your husband. It's yourself. If you're, and you said it before, if you're okay, your kids are going to be okay, but you
Yeah.
need to be okay first.
And I think for me, I like that was a huge thing was like, okay, I like with my family, like my mom has been divorced 3 times. And I was like, divorce is not even going to be like on the table. That word is not even going to be like, it's a non-negotiable. Like, and I just had that in my brain that like, no, it's going to be different. It's going to be different. And also for the kids, like so many times people stay for the kids. And a big realization that I had, like I was so like I didn't realize how disconnected I was and like how hurting like other people around me realized and noticed like, whoa, like Julie, what is going on? Like we can tell that you're hurting and like I'd been carrying it for so long and like I like lost who I was. And like I said, with the voice and being able to, I wasn't in a safe place emotionally. I didn't feel safe. And if mom's not okay, that just like how our bodies work and we're constantly picking up signals our body is like picking up signals of safety and looking for that safety. And if mom doesn't feel safe, the kids aren't going to feel safe. And yeah, if mom's not like those little kids, like they felt it and they felt the tension. And even if we weren't like verbally screaming at each other all the time, like there was still like that, um, like just being on eggshells. And like that's not okay for me and it's not okay for the
It's not
kids.
okay for them.
So, and what I saw was a huge change, like a 180 with my girls from even a week in, and my friend saw it too. Like my oldest had a lot of anxiety, and when we moved and we were in this house, and I call it my house of healing, it's the girls' house. And when I made that shift, like within a week, a friend was helping out watching the kids as I was settling in. She's like, I've never seen your daughter like so calm. And like that felt really good to hear. And for my youngest, she was just really upset all the time. And like as a little 3-year-old, I was like, okay, is this the terrible, like,
The
okay,
terrible
terrible
trait, yeah.
twos, and then like I don't know with the threes, but like, is this, I don't know. She's like really grumpy all the time and sad. And I would maybe sing in the car and she would say, Mom, don't sing. I'm like, oh, little one. And when when I got the divorce and we moved out, like shortly after, I remember us driving somewhere on like a little bit longer of a trip and we were singing together and like we wrote a song together. And that was a huge change and shift that I noticed in the girls right away. And so, like, even the song that we were singing, it was like, cuddle up, cuddle up with your friends. And like, we'll sing it together. And it's just like, it's a really sweet thing. And like, that daughter is very musical and she's gifted in that way. And now that she's feeling safe, now that she's seeing that like mom loves herself, like I loved myself enough to choose myself and more my girls, and make that change. And so encourage folks like not to stay for the kids that yeah, you've got to be safe emotionally, physically, and that is gonna in the end create that safety and love and a better environment for your kids too.
Yeah,
So
that's true. So, as a single mom, and a CEO of Jules Collective, how has nervous system regulation, and I think you've mentioned that, changed the way that you lead others?
yeah, so I think for leadership, a lot of times we can try to like be in control and like achieve and be very like goal driven. And so much of leadership is like that resiliency and authenticity of like relating and making decisions with clarity and not doubting yourself. And I look back at like the old Julie, and I think I had a lot of like scarcity mindset and I wasn't secure in myself and I didn't truly love myself. I didn't think that I was worthy. And like once I started to love myself, I then started to get that confidence of like, okay, if I truly love myself, then how can I stay in this relationship that's hurting me? So it's like out of that place of love. And I think as leaders and as you're leading teams, like you have to be in touch with yourself and with what other people are going through. And that emotional intelligence, that resiliency is such a stronger tool and way to live and lead, because then you're going to have healthier teams. Like people are going to feel like seen and valued. And when they are, they're going to enjoy the work, they're going to produce better work, they're going to be more confident. But if we are in this like reactionary state and making decisions, out of that scarcity or fear-based decision making, then that impacts everybody else's stability. So it really is important. That's why like the leadership resiliency program and with the retreats as part of that for corporate and for teams is so essential, because it really is that trickle down effect. And that's why I love working with leaders, because when you have healthy whole leaders, like it's going to impact so much else. So yeah.
Definitely. And the meeting that I was mentioning to you about, it was the Atlanta Wellness Professionals. So they meet every quarter, and they're the leaders, the wellness managers inside the company who are making the decisions, right, about everybody and about well-being. And I love it because every time I go there, I learn something new. That's the hand exercise that they were doing,
Yeah.
and it is so so important. Jules, this has been amazing,
Yes,
but
thank
no,
you.
we're not done yet, because at
Oh
the
yeah.
end of each episode, we ask our guest three questions that you have one sentence to answer. I
Hot
mean,
seat.
it
Ah.
it could be a paragraph. It could be like it's okay if you need to explain. Yes, it's okay, but just one word or one sentence. So the first one, if you could share one practice or a mindset that truly helped you heal after your divorce, what would it be?
Worthy. Woke up worthy. I'll leave it at that.
You can explain. You can. People are gonna say like,
No.
Janina doesn't let her talk. Go ahead, do
Like
it.
you're already worthy, and truly believing that. For me, that was an area I didn't know that I really needed to work through. And it's been powerful, and it's still something that I'm working
Yeah.
on. So yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So the second question, knowing what you know right now, right, about divorce and about healing and everything, what would you say to yourself when you're like in the middle of the hurricane?
I think, yeah, you're stronger than you know. And that is something that I did tell myself, and like, we can do hard things. And I have that reminder like right on my door frame. And yeah, just knowing that, truly knowing and being confident in that. But I see that Julie, I see that little Julie, and like that was something that I told myself in the midst of the hardest, most difficult days. It's like, you're stronger than you know, like you can do this, like you're not alone. So
Okay, so what does the word badass means to you?
I love this because like I totally didn't realize that I was a baddie, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a baddie. Like, 'cause people had told me that, I'm like, yeah. So like the badass, like baddie, like embodying
Baddie.
that baddie, badass attitude of just knowing your own greatness. That like for each of us, like we're a goddess, and to view ourselves as that, and like make decisions and these different rituals, like out of that knowing that, like, yeah, I'm a badass. Like, I know my worth. Going back to that worthiness, I know my worth. I know what I bring to the table. I have my standards set high because I know that I'm a jewel, you know, and like Jules Collective, like we are meant to shine, like glow, like my tattoo, and yeah, just reflect that light. So I want to radiate. And I think being a badass is like radiating, that people see you on the street and they're like, ooh, I want that. Like, I want what she got. Yeah. And that comes from like just a knowing of yourself, a knowing of your worth, that love. And like I said, leaning in to do the work of healing. So we've got to do that in order to radiate. And that means some really hard times and lots of crying, some screaming, some dancing,
some singing.
yes. And doing that together. So yes.
Okay. So Jules, where can people find you? And is there something that you're working on that you want to share with the audience?
Yes. So you can follow me at Jules Foster MPH on Instagram and TikTok, julescollective.org. Check out the different retreats coming up in Atlanta and Puerto Rico and the Azores. So there's a lot going on where people can also just connect with me for coaching. I'd love to do an introductory call and just share some of those regulation tips, because everybody is different, and just go through that journey with you of connecting to yourself and having some really practical tools to overcome stress. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Awesome.
Listen, yes.
Okay,
listen to Healed and Whole CEO. And that's something new. And I'm really excited just to share that, and excited to be here and have these conversations, and have other wellness practitioners join the collective, because there's so many different healing modalities. There's different ways to process grief and grow. And that's why it's a collective, because we have different wellness practitioners and leaders who can be part of the retreats and events and programming to really help with that healing. So, yeah.
Oh, that's so many good stuff. And we're going to have all Jules' information in the description episode. And well, we're coming to an end. If this episode shifted something, in you and how you see your healing, share it with someone who's trying to rebuild from survival mode. And tag me at Janita Puy Wellness. I would love to know about you. If you like Jules tagged me some time ago, and she's like, I'm doing the exercise, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she tagged me. I love that. And if you want to work with me outside of this podcast, reach out to info@janitapuy.com. And I'm gonna leave. Well, actually, do you have any advice or any last phrase before I finish this that you want to share?
Be the badass that you are. Be the baddie. lean into that and shine.
Well, that's my phrase. It's like, it's like whatever. It's like, well, maybe she's like copying my podcast. Okay. But if your heart, remember, your heart didn't break you, it woke you up. You've got this. Now go live like the badass that you are.